This month is Lordship Month, and it's been a great month to begin with. We had a great kickoff last week, and it's our desire that God would speak to our hearts, that God would challenge us. And one of the great ways that God can challenge our hearts is by hearing the testimony of other folks, how God has worked in their life, and to see what God is doing, what God has done, and what God will do. And I'm going to ask Brother JB to come at this time. He's going to share his testimony with us this morning.
If you have your Bibles, sounds like we're starting a sermon, but I kind of want you to read along with me here. I don't have a fancy schmancy iPad or got it on the screen, so I'm going to have to do the best I can here. If you turn to Matthew 25, 14 through 30, it's a familiar passage that we've often read, and I'm sure we've had even flannel graph back in the days of Sunday school too, which talks about the parable of the talents that Jesus talked to his disciples about. Matthew 25 and verse 14 says, "For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling in a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his severe ability. And straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made the other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth, and hid his Lord's money. After a long time the Lord of those servants cometh, and reckoneth with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things, I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents besides them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things, I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee, that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strewn. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast, that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knowest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strewn. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should receive mine unto with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into utter darkness, there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Verse 15 says that he gave to each man according to his several ability. Jesus said that each of us have an ability, and he gives us what he knows we can handle. Apparently, one of my abilities is to handle stinky diapers and lots of girls running around my home. So I don't know if it's a talent or not. But all of our talents that we have been given to God, by God is to use to glorify God. In the parable, the master did not give his servants money as a parting gift. He didn't say, here's 5 talents, go have some fun with it. He gave them this money to invest, and our God is no different. He gives us our talents to invest for him, so when he comes back to us, he can get gain from that talent. If you can sing, talk, walk, encourage, write, give money, give time, clean, ride a bus, drive a bus, play music, or you have anything else that you can possibly do, it's a talent that's been given to you by God. When Pastor said Jesus is either Lord of your life or he isn't, that's something that really struck me, because it wasn't a maybe. It was either he is or he isn't. And we just got back from a sportsman banquet where the guy said, you either accept God's gift or you don't. And it's an ultimatum. There isn't a lot of time to think about it. Either you do or you don't. I do remember a time in my life when I was saved, yet so is by fire. And I had not made Jesus Christ Lord of my life. And I also remember the day that all that changed, when God had really beat me up enough and said, you need to stop living the way you're living, stop doing the things you're doing, or I'm going to continue hammering you. And I said, no, I'm good. You can stop. And the first one of the talents that he'd given me is my music. And a lot of you don't know this, but I used to not use my musical talents for the Lord. And this guitar here was given to me by a very good friend. And this is the first guitar that's never seen the inside of a bar. And it's never seen booze spilled on it. And to me, that's substantial. Maybe to you guys that doesn't mean much, but to me it does. It's because there's been a change in my life. I no longer play that kind of music, and I no longer play for myself. I want to play for the Lord and glorify Him. The next thing that really comes to mind is Philippians 4:8, when it tells us that what we should even think on. I needed to change my mind to make Jesus Lord of my life. It says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. I needed to change the way I thought to make God Lord of my life, Jesus Lord of my life. Finally, was money. Seemed a little tough at the time, because you don't always have a ton, but some have more, and guys, some don't have more. But whatever we have, it's not even ours. I mean, if we have $5 or $5,000, it's God's money that He's given to us. He's entrusted us with that. And He says, you know what? I just want 10% back of that. And when you look back, and if you took 10% of everything that you made and gave it to God and seen where He's invested it, and you look at the 90% that you've kept to your own and you've invested that, and you look at the returns of your 90% and see what you got left over, and then you look at the 10% you've given to God and see the returns you have left over with Him, He's a far better financial agent than we are. By far. He knows what to do with His money, and He knows how to invest it. And if you remember in Mark 12, verse 43, it said that this widow had given 2 mites. And you have all these Pharisees just dumping cash into the coffers and thinking that they were pretty cool. And Jesus, said to His disciples, this woman gave everything. She not only gave, everything that she had, but she was also trusting God that He would then supply her needs. And so it was more than just everything she had. It was everything she depended on. And it was faith. And Jesus was really bringing that to her. And when we give our faith promise missions, or we write the check out, it's giving back to God what He's given to us. And I can fairly say that in one person here that's given the last dime out of their savings account and totally depended on God. This lady did. And she was recognized by Jesus so much it got into His word. That says something to me. By faith, I started giving tithing before taxes, or after taxes. And then God really laid it on my heart. You know what? You need to give before taxes. I'm like, are you kidding me? I really actually said that. And so as I began to do that and just put faith in the Lord, and just looking back and just seeing how He has invested that. And you know what? I don't miss it. And especially when I know that I'm being obedient to God, every time I write a check, it's not a pain, it's a blessing. It's an honor to be able to say, you know what, God, you gave this to me, and here you go back. And, going back to the parable, it said that the master was gone for a long time. Don't expect to tithe your money and expect to get a nice Lamborghini Countach the very next week. But benefits do come, and you will reap the reward one day. And it doesn't always happen right away. That doesn't mean you should get discouraged. That means you should keep investing. And the master was gone for a long time. It seems like our master's been gone for a long time, but he is coming back. And when I look at my life, and I think back, if I would have thrown in the towel after I did this initial investment of reading my Bible and getting with the Lord, I'm like, hey, God, why haven't you blessed me? I'm going to go back to playing in the bars. I'm going to go back to doing what I was doing. And if I had thrown in the towel, I don't know what would happen. I can guess what would happen, but I can tell you right now, I've already saw fruit. I haven't had to wait to go to heaven. I've seen fruit when I've watched my wife walk forward, and that's hard. And accept Christ. As I saw my oldest daughter do the same. I knew this was going to be tough. When I hear my 5-year-old tell me how she's asked Jesus in her heart, and I see my 3-year-old who wants to pray at dinner, I asked, would I have seen these fruits if I had not made Jesus Lord of my life? I think not. And if we just sit in the pew and are saved yet so is by fire, when we stand before the Lord and we bow our knee and acknowledge him, will he say, well done, my good and faithful servant?